talk. Here we go. How he said he living life as a gringo. Where you question where you fit in every time you mingle. They say you do this with not enough that. My rapping is really bad. This life as a gringo.
Yes, hello and welcome to another episode of Life as a Gringo. I am Dramos, of course. And man, as you can see, I don't have my normal backdrop because today is a special show. If you're watching the video version of this, I have a tie that I'm really excited about. I'm just going to share it. It says Nueva York on it with the Yankees logo. This company from Puerto Rico makes it. Anyway, shout out to them for sending it to me after I bought it. But anyway, has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. Well, kind of. I am hyped up on a lot of coffee, which you might be able to tell by the way that I'm speaking right now. But I wanted to share a podcast that I recently did. This a couple weeks ago in Brooklyn. A podcast called My First Kicks Podcast. Shout out to Haas and shout out to Dave, who host it and produce it respectively. And I just thought it was a fun conversation. And I just think it was me being able to showcase a different side of myself, which I always love to do. Which I feel like in today's day and age with a lot of things that I'm doing, especially how serious a lot of the commentary of the world, is out of necessity. I don't get to sort of showcase other sides of myself as much. So with this one, I was really excited to kind of just have more of a fun conversation. And we literally talk about everything. The podcast is centered around sneakers, but even if you're not like a sneakerhead, which I'm not necessarily that, I just think it's like a fun conversation around nostalgia. As a kid, the things that you cared about. And we talk a bit about my career, my, come up story, lessons I've learned along the way. I loved the conversation. I thought it was super fun. It flew by. So I want to share it. I've been getting a lot of great feedback on it thus far. So that's it. I wanted to share this conversation for today's podcast. Without further ado, this is my guest episode on the My First Kicks podcast.
What's good, everyone? Welcome back to My First Kicks. This is episode 207, and this week I bring to you the illustrious, DJ Dramos.
What's good, bro? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for pulling up.
Of course. Illustrious. I like that. I like that.
Illustrious.
Yeah.
You got to widen the vocabulary.
Yeah. I like it. I like growth right there. I like it.
And of course, we got D in the building.
Yes, sir. Per usual.
All day,
every day.
Thank you for pulling up, man.
Of course, man. I appreciate you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, you've been doing Life as a Gringo podcast and checking it out. I mean, to be honest, I've been listening to, and I've realized this, I've been listening to way too much like government stuff, government podcasts, and then I saw yours. I was like, all right. I probably should tap in on this one. This is a different perspective because there's nothing. I keep listening to white people talk about the government.
Yep. It'll drive you crazy.
You'd be like, damn, everything's wrong. And then you're like, yeah, this is a white person's perspective. It's probably even worse.
Right. Oh yeah, 100%. Because then you get like frustrated what's happening. Yeah. But then you get frustrated what they're not seeing. Yeah. So it's just like a double. You know what I'm saying? It gets you all kinds of messed up.
You know what's really fire though, and hopefully I don't know. It'd be an interesting guess. Josh Johnson, he does his like comedy episode, like his comedy, like 1 hours, like he drops them every week. Yeah. But it's all like perspective of like what's going on because he's a daily show correspondent.
Right.
So that lessens the blow.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit fun.
A little puns in there.
Yeah.
You have a laugh while crying. It's good. Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, I definitely want to know like why'd you start? Just jump into that because I would like to know why'd you start that. I feel like, I started this and I had Mero on. I told him like, I've only listened to white people on podcasts.
Right.
I felt like white people were like the podcast thing. Right?
Yeah.
And so, once I found Bodega Boys, that's when I was just like, snap. People of color can actually do this.
Yeah. I think for me it was similar, man. I think I definitely was like big in the podcast space for a while, but to your point, it definitely was never fully my perspective, and I think it became glaringly clear as sort of all that was happening with the murder of George Floyd and the pandemic and like the way that people were afraid to talk about things or just had a lack of understanding. Like I found myself just screaming at like the car, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think for me, it was like, there's definitely something missing. I started doing like some Instagram lives at that point during the pandemic, like daily. And that kind of started catching on a little bit. And I kind of saw like, there's people like myself who are looking for a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And I started having like different variety of guests and things like that. At the time, I was working with the Breakfast Club as well. So they've always been a huge inspiration, but like being there and like just seeing how they carried themselves, even off mic, off camera, just like unapologetically Black was so inspiring to me.
Yeah.
Especially like, because when I got into radio, man, it was like I was in a lot of white spaces. So I felt like I didn't know where I fit in. And then when I got with them, it was like they were talking wild, like off camera, off mic. It didn't matter who was around. Like, and so like they owned it and they could because they were who they are. You know what I'm saying? They were successful. And to me, it was like, yo, they're being unapologetic about who they are, unafraid to speak on what matters to them, what's important to them. As a result of becoming a pillar of the community that is far beyond just entertainment. And that was just inspiring to see, oh, on top of that, you know, they're making that bread as well. Like they're successful. So like, I was like, you could kind of really have it all, do stuff that matters, speak about things that matter in a way that matters, and do it unapologetically as yourself. So I think that was all that together collectively was kind of what got the podcast started. And then I think the real breaking point for me was also when Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico. And it was a frustration about the lack of coverage and lack of conversation as well. So it just kind of all that bubbled up and I kind of was just like, I gotta do something. And that ended up being it.
No, yeah. That's the one where Trump threw the
paper towels. Yeah. And like the underreporting of like death rates and all those things, man. It was just like, yo, what is happening right now?
And now we don't have FEMA no more. So what's gonna happen now?
I know, bro.
Yo, sorry to make this
I know.
Now we got a political podcast, man.
Yeah, let's go.
You can't avoid it though. It's like every time I open my phone, it's some new shit. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
It's a part of our everyday life, and it's spilling out into like every like. And if you are not a rich straight white man, like everybody's getting affected by what's going on right now in some way, shape, or form. You know, so like it's natural to talk about it, and like the social media makes it even worse because it's like the blogs we just posted. Like Trump said this today. I'm trying to avoid it, but like. Man, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
It's crazy. But you're here to answer the question.
Yeah, we are.
Our pivot.
Yeah.
You're here to answer the question that I ask everybody each week. And that question is, what's your first case? What's that first pair of sneakers you absolutely needed to have?
Man. So my first ones, I had to look. I think it's the Nike, the Uptempo, with the giant air on the side.
Yeah, that's the Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, those are the first ones I remember getting, and I felt like I am the shit. You know what I'm saying? Wearing those as a little ass kid, like. Because it was so bold and so in your face, you couldn't avoid them, and they were just fire. So those are my first ones. I think I want to say I had the black and white ones, like just the classic
more black. Is it?
Yeah,
black?
More black that ends a little white hint.
Yeah.
And even to this day,
keeping with the tune, the tone of
life.
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, I think even to this day, I'm like a part of me because I know they reissued them like now in my adulthood.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know when the hell I'm gonna wear these now. Like I can't get away with it.
They got one that the gum bottoms now too.
Yeah, the gum bottoms.
Those look fly. I think I sent you those. Like, did I send you those?
You sent it, and I just scroll past them. Because I don't like the corduroy on it or whatever that material. Because to be honest, like what I like the up-tempos, but the Supreme ones just went crazy for me. Like I think I can't even look at them the same anymore unless they are the Supreme ones. Like I need that like gold with the red and
a little extra.
And it says Supreme on
the ones that got me the most was the green ones. Remember they had that. I bought those are the last pair I bought.
Yeah.
I think that was like 2017.
Yeah.
When those dropped with 2018. Those are the last. But I ain't gonna lie, I was looking at those gum bottoms.
They're hard to like pair with something. I feel like though, like it's a gigantic clunky ass shoe. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't like a clean aesthetic.
I think it's because we are three people that definitely like to wear a little bit tighter jeans.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
Because a lot of people, like I've been talking to a lot of people that are in the culture now, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going back to baggy jeans." I'm like, "All right, I guess I'm staying where I'm at."
Right.
Like I'll pull out the big cargos, but like that's that. But I'm not bringing out the Jinkos.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going all the way back.
That's like you seen Bieber in New York recently? Like bro, I don't know what homie's doing. Like
he's looking crazy.
Yeah, the biggest jeans in the entire world, but like off it, like way off his ass, like way worse than like we did back in the day. Like I don't know who's styling him these days, but
I don't know. Yeah, even Travis Scott now.
Yeah.
Because in the Jordan commercial,
because baggy's back.
Yeah, but it's like.
But then you can't show off the kicks at that point, right? Because it's covered up by the jeans.
No, you got to do the.
No, that's wild.
You got to tuck it into the
sock. That's too much.
Everybody's bringing back tying the jeans into the laces.
Yo, I think we gotta get people to send us pics of their G's and what sneakers they had on. When they did
You
that.
see, it's doing too much at that point, man. Like I'm not gonna go all out for that. You know, I'm good. I gotta sit certain things out.
Yeah,
that's wild.
That's just,
So did you mainly where did you grow up?
So when I was younger, I was in the Bronx, and then I did like high school in Jersey. So I split time. So like my mom was a teacher in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was younger, we didn't have anybody to watch me, even though technically we lived in Jersey. So I used to go to school in the Bronx. So we would stay at my grandma's house, and I usually spend like weekends back and forth. And then like middle school, like junior high school, I ended up going to school in New York. New Jersey.
When did you get the up tempo?
Oh, I was still going. That was when I was in the Bronx.
In the Bronx? So middle school.
Yeah, like late elementary school, early middle school. Yeah.
When did you feel like you were like, all right, now I'm I need to start getting more sneakers? Was it in?
I always loved sneakers and sneaker culture and things like that. Like I don't consider myself a sneakerhead because I know that all that comes along with that. Mm-hmm. I'm an appreciator of sneakers. You know what I'm saying? I leave it at that. But
I don't look.
Yeah,
there.
No, because some of y'all be bugging. Not for nothing. Like
it's not some of y'all. Don't throw that on me. But to me, it's like I'm the other side of it. So like, yes, I had my moment where you gotta have, your infrared. You gotta have at least a Jordan. You gotta, like I had my moment. Right. So I did my elitism at one point. But then you grow out of that.
Right.
And then you come out to the other side. The older dudes that be like, no, I'm not wearing it unless Jordan's worn it, like the game, and he's gotta score at least 30 points. Like, like I'm not one of those people. For me, sneakers is for everybody. I think that, everybody has a sneaker story.
Right.
It doesn't matter. But I feel like sneakers are just this one thing that the term that, you hear a lot is nobody can walk in the same shoes that you
Right.
So like that I feel like has like spread out into sneakers.
Yes.
But like being a sneakerhead is just, to me, is like I wake up every morning thinking of like remembering sneakers.
Right.
Like I'm just like, 95 neons. Like, that's like one of the first 3 thoughts in my head. Right.
It's wild.
So sorry.
I love it, but that's wild.
Yeah.
But mine was more functionality though. I got one pair of sneakers a year, right, for the school year, and I played basketball. So they doubled as my basketball sneakers. Yeah. So like I was, playing my rec basketball and also I wear them to school every day. So like the other ones that stick out to me are the T-Max, like the original Tracy McGrady's.
The blue joints?
But they had like the toe was like purplish, right? Mm-hmm. Purplish with blue, yeah. I remember that was a Christmas gift from my uncle. Like instead of getting me like a random gift, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take you sneaker shopping."
There you go.
He didn't realize though how much sneakers were at the time. That was the last time he ever took me sneaker shopping. But he bought me $100 pair of sneakers. All I wanted was a T-Max. That was the last time. But yeah, I had the T-Max. Another sneaker looks terrible with jeans. Like that was like, you know what I'm saying? That's on the court. Like it looks fire on the court. In real life, they don't match very much.
Okay,
like,
that's how I feel about they might hate me for this one. That's how I feel about Kobe's, bro.
Kobe's. Oh,
look.
I don't feel like Kobe's are for style. I feel like they're for performance.
Yeah.
And even the way they're designed.
I'm gonna push back on this. 2013,
okay.
We was outside in Nike basketball. Like we was outside in Nike basketball. All right. You had the elite socks. You had the show, the 3 on the side, the back
drop fits.
LeBron's was doing numbers out there. All right. So they was
exactly. That's how
LeBron's
Kobe's another one.
I mean,
his shoes
I never got into
more in the
LeBron's
basketball space than the fashion space.
Right.
It's just if enough cool people. We talked about cool in the last episode. There's enough cool people wear it, then it becomes the norm, and then you're just like, all right, cool, I can go outside in these, So if enough people wore T-Max, you would like if there's an alternate
hype around it.
Say there's a multiverse, right? You're in the multiverse where enough cool people wore T-Max with jeans, and people were like accepting it, and then they were just like, I wore T-Max with jeans, cool, man.
Right.
Like
but that was like I thought that was more like dope on the court. Like my basketball friends liked them, but everybody else was like, these are ugly ass sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
because I feel like there's certain pairs that do that of sneakers where it's like, nah, those is not for fashion.
Right.
But if you hooping in them,
it's a whole different thing.
The KDs.
Oh, that's
KDs.
Yep.
I like KD 4s. Like you can get a fit off in KD 4s.
Yeah.
That's the one with the strap.
Yeah. A little bit.
They look like They look like clean, like sleek shoes.
You can get it. You can get the tech fit. You can get the tech fit. That's it.
You get a tech fit with everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I feel like I'm biased at this point. I think I've gotten too old where I can't even remember like how to get creative. Like to me, it's like Jordan's the only thing I can see myself wearing, like basketball sneaker wise, out and about, where I feel like, okay, I can make this look good with any fit type of thing.
But I feel like that's because society has made it.
Yeah, you might. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Like I look, you got to take some chances.
Yeah.
Just you got a full length mirror.
You're right.
Put on the suit and then just throw on some.
Wait, did you ever get into like a foam posit phase?
Just
those are not. Oh my god, bro, those I never got. I was like, no, I don't understand them, bro.
So I broke the seal on the foam posit last year. So
the first time.
Damn. So I am trying to get these galaxies that are coming out. So I got the Tekken foams last year.
Yeah.
And then I put them on. I'm like, damn. These are comfortable.
They cozy.
And then I fucked up.
Yeah.
I wore them on a plane. And because of the foam on it, it's like it contracts.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So my feet were killing me.
Yeah.
My feet were killing me.
Wow. This is wild.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I can't get behind them. I know anybody who's from like Maryland, like the Baltimore area, they live by those.
Oh, yeah.
They love
They
them, but I
love those.
never understood. To me, those are the ugliest sneakers, bro. I can't do
Because
it.
they hoop sneakers.
Yeah. I'm a
I don't
court
even
again,
know. I
fine.
don't even know how people can hoop in them. They're so heavy.
I never hooped in them.
No, that was
Yeah.
never my.
But I definitely rocked them to the court.
Yeah, I'm sure. Them things is
The
boots.
switch off. Yeah, you ain't getting no jump off. You're not getting any lead step with those at all.
Never.
No.
I'm gonna pop in here real quick. We'll take a quick break and then we'll be right back. All right, we are back, and now more from the podcast.
So, I mean, you say you have an appreciation for sneaker culture, but how did
Yeah.
you find sneaker culture?
I mean, I think it was like as a kid, that's like your calling card of like kind of you're in the know almost, right? And especially, I think for me being super young, you're talking about like the end of like the Tommy Hilfiger polo era, like with
Were you
Ralph.
part of that?
I was a big Tommy head, yeah.
Yeah?
Tommy, like, more than anything, more than sneakers, I was like big Tommy head, yeah.
That's cool. I've never heard anybody admit to that, but
No,
all right, cool.
we're not gonna do a Tommy slander, okay?
I met Tommy Hilfiger.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met his brother. That's not as cool,
I was
but
in the studio session with his son when he
Really?
was going through his gangster phase. That was the funniest session I ever been in my life. Because he was talking about hustling and all this gangster shit. And I was like, bro, your pop sell $100 crew
right.
necks.
Yeah.
Your pop's
I'm
a
also not.
billionaire,
I'm
man.
not 100% sure people can hear you because you're so far away.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, my fault. Like I was in that session with him and his son, and he was just like he was just rapping. It was the most awkward thing
Right.
ever. We walk into the session and I was just like, okay, this is Tommy Hilfiger's son.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking about bagging up work.
Right.
And I was so confused.
But
I
your
was
dad
like,
lives at the plaza, right?
Yo,
He lived there,
the work-
right?
the
Walking
The work is like
your dad made $1 billion off crew necks,
Yeah.
Henleys. You know what I'm saying?
He's bagging up jeans with the
Yeah,
flag
with
on
the, with
them.
the flag on. He's doing his thing. And you talking about hustling, that's crazy.
When are you gonna pull out a Tommy Hilfiger fit?
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
bro, I got some like pieces in my
Oh,
closet.
pieces?
Yeah, I used to rock it all the time. I kind of put it away. I outgrow that a little bit, but I keep
what was
them.
really dope was like when they were going windbreaker to windbreaker with Polo.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Yeah, I mean, I just think those brands are interesting because like this is before Supreme and all that stuff. So these were real lifestyle brands. Like you
Yeah.
can still find like I got a shower curtain of Tommy Hilfiger in my crib. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Like that's some wild like
Yeah.
makes no sense whatsoever. Now it does because Supreme and all these companies do it. But
yeah.
back in the day, that's a different level of like loving the brand and all these things.
I wish there was like legend. You know how like you hear? Well, I don't know if you ever heard about like the Bape and Supreme beef.
Yeah.
I wish there was like a Polo Ralph Lauren,
Right.
a Polo Tommy Hilfiger beef.
Yeah.
Or Polo Hilfiger beef that people would just meet up on the streets and fight each other.
There kind of
feel
is,
like
but it's
it
not
might have
as
happened,
deep.
like
Yeah.
like low heads. and-
Yeah.
beefing
Nah,
with
you
like,
a figurehead? You a
Figurehead?
figurehead? Run that figure.
Yeah, but what's gangster about Tommy Hilfiger is he like inserted himself into the conversation because
Yeah.
like his original thing is like he put out a billboard saying like the great American designers and it was like Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, and I think somebody else, and then like Tommy Hilfiger. That was before he even had anything going on. So it was like he was like, yo, I'm
He's
about to be
the
a part
West
of
Side
this.
Gun.
Yeah.
He's the West Side Gun of fashion.
Exactly. What an analogy.
Yo, bro.
Yeah. So I got like I rock with that. I'm like, all right,
I love
that
that.
takes some balls right there. I'm gonna throw myself in that conversation even before anybody's put me out there. Like I like that. And then obviously, I mean, it's depending on what angle you look at it, but I think that hip hop angle of sort of embracing that aspect before a lot of people were, I think is super dope. Before companies wanted, people of color wearing their clothing and things like that. And they weren't marketing to them. It was just like Ralph Lauren wasn't marketing to the hip hop community. They just kind of like took it over.
They
almost.
took it over, yeah.
Right. But like Tommy, like specifically was like, yo, I'm gonna put all these rappers in my fashion shows, and we're gonna like, Snoop's playing SNL. We're gonna show up there with a gang of clothing and see if he wears something. And then Snoop shows up wearing, like I think it was the rugby shirt at the time. So I mean, I think that was just like, that's guerrilla marketing. Like, before that was even probably terminology at that point. And that's now what every brand does, is like, how do we figure out where the pulse of the culture is and sort of become a part of it and embrace it, and not be too highbrow to like admit there's something dope going on here. How can we be a part of it?
That's crazy though, because ain't Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong, I could do the producer fact check.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
But isn't Tommy, didn't he say that he didn't make his clothes for black people and got,
that was the rumor.
That's when the culture was like,
yeah, but that proved to be fake though.
Oh, see?
Yeah. So like apparently, they said it would happen on the Oprah Winfrey show back when she had a talk show. But he had apparently never been on the Oprah Winfrey show. So it was like the first like fake viral rumor essentially, right? But that stuck with him at the time. Like that everybody heard about it, especially like back then it wasn't like you can kind of easily like chat GPT, did Tommy Hilfiger or like pull up the clip.
So it just went crazy.
So it was like a rumor because I interviewed his brother who had like a showroom here in the city, and he was kind of showing me all types of old school stuff. And like even back in he had another brand called, I think it was like People's Place or something like that back in upstate New York. And they have like old school like photos from their their lines, and it had people of color like all in the pictures as well. It wasn't like it was just white people on yachts and shit, you know what I'm saying? So it was like they kind of were into that from the beginning, and so that was kind of like a rumor that started and went crazy, and people still think about it to this day.
That's
interesting.
I just had to bring that because when you're saying it, I'm like, he's
now we
for
all
the
heard
people,
that.
but then I was like, but I heard he wasn't. Interesting. See, fact checkers.
Fact checkers.
They're needed.
So because you said that, that way of guerrilla marketing, I always thought it was FUBU that did that first.
FUBU was on an even a crazier way because it was kind of more
it was like the same 3 shirts and then he just put it on.
And it was like dude was like on a real bootstrap budget, was Damon John, right?
Yeah, Damon John.
And he was like, but he was even crazier with it because he was, I think it was LL was doing a commercial for something, and he got LL to wear like a hat or a shirt or something in the commercial, and like the brand that was paying LL to do it had no idea what FUBU was, so they didn't like be like, hey, can you take that off? So he got free advertisement because LL was already getting this commercial or whatever it was. That's like a next level, like really like playing the system at that point,
Crush that.
Yeah, so that's like that's on a next level of like even more respect. I love like those stories of early FUBU days.
Yeah, I mean, and now everybody uses the tactics.
Exactly. But that's like gaming the system to a 10th degree right there.
So then, like, I mean, the Hill figure brought you a little bit closer to the sneakers, or like
I mean you definitely had like the kicks to go with everything to kind of complete the whole look. I think for me it wasn't until I got a little older and started having a little bit of money to go around that I really got into it. This is probably like 2017 2018 that I started really getting a little bit of a collection going. I think I had at that time I was working at the radio station, so I had a full-time job, so I had a little bit going on.
Me.
Yeah,
radio money.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I probably
syndicated money.
No, I was living. I had roaches in my bathroom, but I had Jordans in the closet.
There you go. That's what you gotta do, man.
So
how'd you? So like, I definitely, I'm curious. And like, how did you get into the radio
station? I was just like a local. So I grew up playing in bands. That's where like my original whole thing is. I used to play drums, and I was like a vocalist as well in like a metal band.
Shout out to
what, the bands?
Yeah.
Oh man, Ire and Sentiment is a horrible name, but
that name
Load
is
up
trash.
band, right?
You the homie, I have to keep it on there. That name is trash.
Yeah, I know it's trash.
Load up your LimeWire and your FrostWire and look it up.
Crank up that 56K modem and go back in time.
And we gonna go listen to it tomorrow.
Plug in that compact Presario. Let's go.
MySpace.com/Ire and Sentiment. You can still find it there. But that was like I loved playing music. So when that kind of ended, I was like, wanting to do something, and I had just started getting to DJing a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
That's a crazy pivot.
I know.
That's a harder
I know.
pivot than me asking you the question.
I know. I mean, listen, I wanted to be a rapper originally, so I've been pivoting like that, dumb wild my whole life, you know. Yeah. So that was like I was super. I think it was like Travis Barker and DJ Am were doing that whole thing at the time. So it was kind of like, yo, this is like all my worlds coming together. And then you had Skrillex was doing electronic music, and I knew him from first to last when he was a singer and doing that type of stuff. So like I was like, oh, like these dudes are mixing, it's like there's a lane for me there. So that's kind of what got me into it. And then I was DJing just like anywhere I could. I was doing private parties. I was doing like block parties, doing terrible dive bars throughout like New Jersey and Long Island. I was in Long Island for no reason a lot. I don't know why, but I was doing Long Island, no business out there. But and then one of the bars I was DJing at in Jersey, like one of the other DJs who was kind of throwing this college party at the time, he worked at our sister radio station KTU 103.5. So we became friends, and like through him I started meeting people and kind of over the years developing those relationships, and one thing led to another, and I got a job at that radio station after somebody like fell asleep. And they had like 10 minutes of dead air overnight. So they were like, "You gotta get me out of here." What do you think about this?
Got it with the Mike Francesa.
Dude knocked out, and the rest is history. I got my first job in radio at that point. So
that's crazy.
And then through that, I'm in the same building as Z100, as Power 105.1, as all the other radio stations. So you kind of start getting to know people, and that's sort of where it all led into each other.
So is one of these pairs that you've brought one of the first pairs you paid with your money
this music? Is why I learned a hard lesson though. You want to let me bust these out?
Yeah.
All right. So I think this was like, I want to say was it 2019? They did the reissue of the Infrareds, was it?
Yeah.
Right. So I love those sneakers. I don't know what about them I was so fascinated by, and I got them. Shout out to Dan, who's another producer on the Breakfast Club, big sneakerhead. And he got me like a raffle, and I got them. And then I finally got them in the mail, and like the red was off. It was like a pink. I hated it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I got so mad. I was like, you know what? Hell, I'm going to get the real thing. Right? We're going vintage with this. I don't care what I have to pay. I'm going to be so fresh walking around with the real red. So.
Face box. You got to show the face box.
Show the box.
This is the real deal right here. Right? So at first I was hyped. Right? This is like original box and everything. I'm going to be the only one rocking the real ones. Because at that time, everybody had them. I was like, these pink ass sneakers. Bro. Yo, even had the card, like the original card on the inside over here, okay?
Yo.
All right.
Crazy.
Man, I haven't seen those. I remember when those started.
You're also hurting my heart right now.
Bro. And
I could see inside. And
Goat. I'm calling out Goat, okay? Bro, I opened the box.
Oh no.
And this is what they sent me.
Oh my God.
Bro, look at that. Can y'all see these things are talking? And that's just
talking.
I'm sorry, I just ruined the whole set. It's like my little break off of sneakers over here, both of them.
Oh man.
Right? So I think
they sent them like
originally
that?
they sent me this one, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, yo, this is crazy. So I like went to
let me
yo,
let me see this. This is crazy.
Bro. All right. So I hit up customer service. I was like, yo, they just sent me some busted ass kicks. Like I can't even wear these.
They fall apart.
Yeah, throw that side. That's
side.
Bro.
Oh my God.
We're gonna have to vacuum this set up afterwards.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Maxim.
Bro. So I sent pictures. I was like, yo, you like
when
how are y'all
2019 you bought these?
Yeah. I was like, yo, how are y'all checking this and you let this go and somebody sold it to me? And then their response was, well, these are like a relic shoe. It's not meant to be worn. So that's what you should be expecting. Like it's a 20-year-old shoe.
They came out in 2000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's still 20 years old at that point.
But it still shouldn't be crumbling.
That's what I'm saying. So they gave me a 10% coupon off my next
10%. Oh my God.
But you know what my dumb ass did? I went and bought another pair from the same year, 2000.
Yeah.
And those I actually got to wear a couple times, but then eventually my foot just went through them. After like a couple months of having them at that point. And you were talking about like that's probably $800 down the drain right there.
That was damn
between the two,
crazy.
At that point, yeah. So that was a hard lesson in like maybe this I ain't cut out for the sneaker game. Over here. I got a couple of times. Bro, I love those sneakers so much that like
I'm pretty sure you can find a good pair.
Yeah, I mean, but now I'm over it. You know what I'm saying? Like back then I had the skinny jeans rock, and like those are the perfect sneakers for the skinny jeans. You know what I'm saying? Like those are fire. Yeah, but like now I'm like,
well, first of all, anybody's listening, and I know I have a lot of like customizers and restorers.
Yeah.
They can totally restore those. So just hit you up,
please.
And Yeah,
Yeah,
you can get
my
a
heart
donor
hurts.
soul.
Yeah.
Get that done, and then you can wear them again.
That'd be fire.
Yeah.
I'll never get that almost
Yeah, 2
$1,000
pairs.
back. Yeah, 2
So-
pairs. I gotta find the other one. I don't know what I did with it at this point. I might have
You
just
threw them at a wall.
I
You're just
don't know what I did, bro. I
mad
was
frustrated.
I was so upset, man. Oh my god, I was so upset. I think the other ones broke on me while I was like DJing. I had to walk back to my apartment with them on, like,
yeah, just crumbling.
yeah, just crumbling. And then they crumble, so they leave a trail behind. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like embarrassing as hell. So yeah, man, that was my.
Yeah. I don't know what's worse, that or when your air bubbles squeak.
Oh. At least,
Yeah,
bro.
I can't. I don't even know. So like, I haven't killed a sneaker in a while.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard the squeaks in a minute. But there's moments where you hear the squeaks because it's just like a rain and stuff
Right,
like
right,
that.
right.
And it's still, I'll be like, oh man, no,
Like
this can't
Cinderella.
be
Yeah.
it. This can't be it. Yeah, it's about to turn back into a pumpkin.
Right.
Yo, that's low key trauma on the
Yeah,
low. That's low-key trauma on the low.
100%, bro. I haven't bought a pair of like vintage sneakers like that since this. Like, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, that's
I'm
crazy.
good.
You dirty though.
They did me so damn
Yeah, 'cause
dirty.
it's funny because I've never had sneakers crumbled on me.
No,
I didn't mean to say it's funny to
That's
say
fine. It's
to
fine.
laugh at you.
Yeah.
But the
Keep
but
from
yeah,
crying, gotta
I
laugh.
showed a recently. I got a pair from 2006 and
Yeah.
they were fine. So it's just like, yeah, depends on how it's stored and
Right.
all that stuff.
well, I have a old,
Yeah.
like I have a early 2000s pair of the bread ones, like,
Mhm.
and fine. I like
Yeah.
till this day, like I can see
Yeah.
a little bit, like, but like it's, and I wore the hell out of those sneakers,
Yeah.
and they're fine for whatever reason. Though these, like you
Well,
said,
yeah, because the sole on that is more. It's not that same rubber. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like that's like it's just like it's just a one piece,
Right.
Right. Which is like if the whole thing cracks, the whole thing cracks.
Right,
Versus that's several other pieces
I
of
know.
like foam and
Yep.
plastic, and
Mhm.
they put it together, and it's supposed to be squishy. You're
Yeah.
supposed to wear it so the air gets in there. And then
Yeah.
So, but if you don't wear it, then it gets crumbled.
Right.
So
I mean, this is what I get.
Yeah.
I was trying to stunt on people, though. Like that's
No,
what,
yeah.
that's what it was. I was like, because I seen people like, y'all got these fake ass like the color ain't right. Look at me walking around in these.
I remember, 2019. I remember, there was like a video of somebody like fighting. I remember it being like, yeah, they were
because I
outside.
got online,
yeah.
it looked like it was correct.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't another release before that where it was like all kinds of fucked up, I think.
Yeah, that's the one where it started bleeding.
Yeah. So
Right.
like that, but it
Yeah.
was like online. It looked like, oh, they fixed it. We're
Yeah.
back to like the OG,
Yeah.
red. And then I got him mail. I was like, yo, I got got 3 times then at that point. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
yeah. I feel you, man. But like, so were you at Breakfast Club?
Yeah,
Club
I
at
was,
this time?
was.
So like, you're seeing crazy sneakers.
Yeah,
coming through
yeah,
the
yeah.
door.
Well, that was probably part of it too. I
Yeah.
had to keep up with it because he was like even people who are off camera like had crazy kicks. Like even like I said, the producer Dan, like he was a huge sneakerhead, and he put me on to this dude who was like a reseller on Instagram,
Mhm.
and the dude had like good prices and like always had quality, like everything would pop up. So and you have to be quick about it to get it. So like we would kind of be going back and forth for a while, like, oh, I got him before you got him type of thing, and yeah. So and then Envy would have rolled in there with like new sneakers every day. You know what I'm saying? So like
Oh,
that was a
God.
whole nother, so.
No,
Yeah, you're just trying to flex at that point and keep up, like look who you belong.
Yeah. Well, with this podcast, I'm like, okay, have I worn these sneakers?
Yeah,
before?
that's that's a whole nother thing.
So yeah, I'm like trying to be like, okay, no repeats.
Right.
But so then, yeah, it's like, yeah, keeping track. And then, but you're on every single day.
Yeah.
now. So yeah, that's a lot tougher.
Yeah, and then everybody's coming through. Who's everybody? Like, these people are fashionable. They got money, so like they got everything. Like
It is tough when the paychecks don't match.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're just like, damn, they coming in fly.
Bruh.
I gotta be.
that's the worst part.
Yeah.
That you start tricking yourself. You like, oh, I gotta keep up. And it's like these are fucking millionaires. Bro. What are you trying to keep up with them? Like I
No
ain't
way
on that
you can
level.
keep up.
Yeah, but like in my mind, I'm like, I gotta keep up. So yeah, and now that's what I got. Like these are harsh financial lessons that I had to learn. I spent my rent money on
Sneakers
this.
to financial literacy.
Yeah, bro. Yep. You want to learn financial literacy real quick? Buy some sneakers you can't afford.
So like, I mean, going back to like before this, and as you're like trying to get sneakers and
Yeah.
stuff like that, like especially when you were younger. I
Yeah.
know you said you only had one pair,
Yep.
but like you're getting a couple more pairs now. How do you
Yep.
explain it to your parents who are immigrants?
Oh man, so they definitely didn't get it, but I would always kind of like, especially because I was super into like vintage. I still am, but like, I would kind of be like, yo, this is like, you're investing in a piece of art almost, you know, it's like wearable art. And like the resale value only goes up.
I wanted to hear the Jedi mind
Yep. Especially when Last Dance happened, it was like all the value of the Jordans went up. I told y'all, I'm sitting on some gems right now. Unfortunately, that crashed since then. But market crashed on me before I can get rid of them. But for a while, it was like, yo, like, you know, these sneakers are like keep going up in value right now, so it's worth it for me to do that. And then like same thing, entertainment industry aspect as well, like. Well, I'm on camera. I can't be seen wearing the same thing all the time. All right, this is an investment in my job. You know what I'm saying? It's like putting gas in the car. It's a part of it, you know? Yeah. So that was also how I like made sense of it all logically. You know, probably more so to myself. I think I was probably trying to convince myself more than I was trying to convince them, to be honest with you. But yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, so my mom's Brazilian, so she knows she came over here with nothing and all that. I got the whole spiel. Yeah. And it's like she's like seeing me get one sneaker. Yeah. And then it's like another sneaker. And then there's another. She's like, are you like opening a store? Right. Like, no.
But I mean, lucky, my mom is fly. I gotta give her credit. So lucky for me, she understands it. It's my dad that doesn't get it. So I always had her kind of as backup because she's like got her crazy wardrobe and she's always shopping. So like she kind of got it and like
she got you into Hilfiger.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, yeah, she got me addicted to shopping, I think. Yeah. So that was always, at least I had like that little backup going on for me. But yeah, my pops didn't get it at all. Like, he was like, what are you talking about? Like,
I think that's crazy. Pops back in the days, that's just the tone they had, because my pops didn't.
Oh yeah, for sure.
My mother is like any type of taste that I have for any of this stuff is my mother.
Yeah.
My mother, like, really, she's fashionable. She went to BMW. She went to do all of that. My pops is just like,
yeah.
Why are we doing that?
Right.
How much does that cost?
Yeah.
Why are we doing that again? Why do you need that?
Absolutely, bro. Well, that was like some man shit back in the day too. Where it was like, you know, like the shittier you look, the more man you are. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look like you just...
I only know shirt. You mean you match your colors?
Yeah, like you better, if you look like you just rolled off a construction site, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a real man.
Yeah, that's a real man right there. Dirt under your fingernails.
Oh, you know he worked.
You know he worked. Exactly.
He worked hard too.
Right.
He's like, no, he just wore the same shirt for 2 weeks.
He just had the same 2 pair of Carhartt pants, you know, for the last 3 years.
That's it. And 1 pair of Timbs.
Yeah.
But that's probably why you got into vintage, so you can look like you're a hard worker before you even got your dirty work.
Oh, I'm like the stereotype of that, where they're like, homie came and changed the tire, but he got on like the Carhartt. You know, I got the whole like overall outfit from Carhartt and shit.
Who
you know,
was talking about that? Somebody brought something about that up. How like they that whole aesthetic ruined it for him because he's actually a carpenter.
Right, he's actually like functionality. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like I can't go buy things because of this new trend.
Yeah.
When I go try to buy the aprons and stuff, it's not there. And
I'm it's overpriced for no reason now.
I felt so bad because he's actually a carpenter. I'm like, I got a couple of those.
Right,
he's like actually using the hammer loop. He's actually using it.
Needs like the double knee. You know what I'm saying? Like he needs that extra protection. Like I don't need that. I'm not doing anything. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'll be fucked up the game for them for sure.
Got to hit up Dave's New York. Shout out Dave's New York. Never stepped foot in there, but they're very nice people.
Shout out Dave's. Okay, let's go.
I'm going to pop in here one last time. We'll take a quick break and then we'll be right back. All right, we are back. And now the rest of my interview for the My First Kicks podcast.
Like, you know, your progression in this business is, you know, as you're pivoted into podcasting and stuff like that, like what have you seen over these times of just like how communication is and like you know, I feel like you worked at maybe I would say one of the most controversial places in terms of just like you know, you're like those, they're always got clips going. They always got clips going.
There's something going on.
So it's just like, what did you take from there? What do you use now?
I mean, I think it's tough because it's like, they're not putting on a show like that's really who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like behind the scenes, like we're fucking with each other and like, you know, it's the same kind of roasting and same kind of like crazy comments, like, you know, happening and things like that. But it's also, I think, there's like a self-awareness, right? And it's doubling down on like what comes naturally to you. And it's a fine line between becoming a character and also staying true to yourself. But it's like when you see what works, right? Like Charlamagne's going to ask you the out-of-pocket question. He's going to ask you the hard question, you know? That's who he is. But it's also being aware of like, I got to do this. This is how I'm going to get the best interview, the best, interview possible, and the best clip, whatever it might be. And again, not that anybody's like clip chasing, but I think it's also like, it's when it becomes a business. We were kind of talking about this before we started. Like when your art becomes a business, you have to become conscious of how you're moving, because it's just like running a restaurant, running anything else, right? Yeah. Like if you're making money, you're trying to live off of it, you're trying to duplicate success and figure all that stuff out as well. So I think for me, it was like, okay, what's that fine line between not giving into the pressure of trying to create a moment, but also understanding that we live in a very saturated climate with social media, where there's so much content, so many people doing different things, and you have to figure out a way to stand out from it all. So you kind of have to find that balance. And I think that was probably one of the bigger things that I took away from that. And I think it's just like understanding that this doesn't happen by mistake, right? Like they're great at what they do because they're doing so many little things that the average person isn't picking up on, right? And it's like sports, like what makes a great quarterback is all the little things that us as professional athletes would never even notice on the field. But that's why when you have like Peyton Manning and Eli like breaking down film in the booth it's like interesting to listen to, because they're seeing shit that the rest of us don't see, right? They're picking up on these little things. They're
opening. I always say like, they turn it from widescreen to full screen.
100%. So for me, I like basically went to college for 4 years and got to just sit back and get game just by being in the room of how they've become so successful and kind of like the things that they've established that they're each good at. That's the brilliance of the Breakfast Club, particularly, when you had Angela Yee, Envy, and Charlamagne, was like they each had a role that they filled, and they each played that role, and they played their part. And that's what made it so successful, was like nobody was trying to do what the other person was doing, right? And I don't know, there's just something about that I think I noticed with a lot of other people in media, particularly if you have like an ensemble cast. Everybody wants to be the superstar all the time, and people don't understand like, you got to know when to take a step back a little bit, right? Or like Breakfast Club is to me the ultimate example, because Envy's been doing this longer than most of them. He was on Hot 97 doing this on a high level before that, right? He came to Power, and he was bigger than somebody like Charlamagne at the time, or Angela Yee. Angela Yee was on Sirius XM, and Charlamagne was like unemployed at the time, I think. So. But Envy understands his role. That's why he calls himself the quarterback of it, where it's like, I'm going to set Charlamagne up to say something funny because I know like this is what I do, right? All those little things are kind of the brilliance and the nuance that makes somebody great at podcasting, at radio, at interviewing, at doing their craft. That I think the average person doesn't understand unless you're like there in the room, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, I do feel like it. Like, you're not going to get that from watching it. It's definitely like a in the studio thing where you can see it moving in that way. Because I feel like, I mean, you're just, if they're just getting clips and you're only watching clips, which is, I feel like that's what only people do.
Absolutely, then
it's hard for you to get the whole, dynamic.
Yes.
Because everybody's just like, all right, Charlamagne said something crazy.
Right.
Let's just push this on Shade Room and let's go crazy.
100%. But like, what people don't get is there's a setup that got him to understanding now is the moment to say that crazy thing, or to ask that incredibly hard question, right? Because they don't usually they don't come off the get like, all right, tell me about some crazy shit that happened, whatever. It's like they're setting it up. They make fun of Envy to what I'm saying, and like that like lightens the mood a little bit. Somebody says something stupid, then you work your way in, you're gaining that trust, and then you can kind of begin like it's very methodical and very intentional, everything that they do, and that's what makes them so great. So I guess it's being able to be in the
how you pivot that to what you're doing now, and like with Z100 and everything.
I noticed it when I was lucky enough where I started doing interviews and things like that while I was still with them, but I had like other platforms I was doing it with, and I noticed like subconsciously like, I'm picking up on like a little bit of Charlamagne here, a little bit of Envy, a little bit of this, and I noticed how I was getting better, and I was getting more opportunities sort of just like by proxy of becoming better, being around these people. And then I think, for me, it's like, it's being able to see that it's very real. It's very possible. They're flawed human beings just like any one of us. They're great at what they do, but they're not great at everything, right? So I don't have to be great at everything. I can figure out what I'm really good at and own that lane. And then just seeing like they, business-wise, they never relied on one thing. They all are invested in so many different things because in this industry, you have no guarantee, right? Charlamagne talks about it all the time. He's been fired 3 or 4 times from radio, prior to the Breakfast Club. So, they understand like this is not a given. So they have their hands in so many different things so that if God forbid something cools off, you got this other thing going on. And I think for me, in the grander scheme of it, that's also something that I took away was like, always have a couple different pots in the fire because this industry is wild. And like, you never know what's going to happen. No matter how good you think you're doing now, like it's a roller coaster ride. There are ebbs and flows to it. And you got to kind of be one step ahead all the time.
So you're telling me I have to keep my job?
Unfortunately, for now.
I mean, so you said good. You said the word good, and I'm going to pivot to the next shoe. Because
okay. This is a crowd. Okay,
because I'm hoping these are not crumbling.
No. I mean, they are probably a couple wears away from it. I fear.
Listen, I'm glad he brought the beat up joints though, because everybody only brought the fresh joints.
I know, I know. I'm keeping it a buck.
Separate yourself from the pack.
Yeah. All right, these are just like personally, I love them, but we got the Puerto Rico Air Force Ones.
Yes, sir. The Capicu.
Yeah. These are fire. These are actually a gift. Shout out to Phil. Phil Nieves sent these to me from Ultra Records. I appreciate him, a fellow Puerto Rican. I only wear these once a year during the Puerto Rican Day Parade. That weekend, that weekend I pulled them out. And I fear.
But you're on a float.
I'm not walking through the crowd with these. No.
He's like, I'm not walking with everybody. No. I'm gonna pull these up on the
not
float.
The commoners.
Yeah, get away, you peons.
You guys are Puerto Rican. I'm Puerto Rican-er.
I've got heat on my feet over here.
Yeah.
No, but these are fire. So like that. These are my once a year, and so it feels like a whole thing. Like when that comes up, I have my outfits. And
you don't want me to hold?
You want to check it out? There you go.
These are very dope. I remember when these came out.
Yeah,
I love that it's leather.
Yes, yes.
So these are gonna last.
Yep. Yeah, these are super, and I like how it's subtle as well. It's not like
it's not overkill,
not straight. That like the whole
the whole
thing is what is it called?
The what? The cookie.
Yeah, the whole thing's a cookie. The frog print.
No. That I don't think I can pull this off. I like a little more understated. So these are my perfect one. So I love those sneakers. And they were like, as even though there was like a friend just like surprised me with it. Even time he was giving me, he's like, "Yo, what's your address?" And I opened the mail and it was like that. I was like, "Oh, this is so dope." So
that's fire.
Yeah, so I love these.
Do you have since we talked about the Puerto Rican Day Parade, you wearing those? Do you have like a story that's like?
I always get like people like being like, "I see you." You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's like really probably what I'm wearing them for. Like the 1 or 2 people were like, "Okay." I wore them once in Puerto Rico actually, and they were like, I had people taking pictures of me, like, "Yeah, let me take a picture of this." So I was like, so that I felt good about myself at that point, stunting on these people out here,
No, that's dope. I mean, I've only been to the Puerto Rican Day Parade twice.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if I'm going to the real one or.
Well, there's so much going on that weekend,
because I've been to the 116.
Yeah, I've done that. Yep, I DJ that as well. Yeah,
you've DJ'd that one.
Yeah, I usually do that every year.
Wow.
Oh, that one's fire.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not walking that crowd with these. It's crazy.
I'm at the crowd.
Now,
hopefully not next year.
No,
I see you. I'll be like,
I'm gonna point you out. I'll pull you
that's
up.
it. Just a point. He's not even gonna be like, come back. He's just gonna be like, my man Haas right there. I see you. Hey.
You got a pair of these on. You got to find them in the meantime. Go on.
I feel like I'd feel so weird wearing. I'm not Puerto Rican. I'm wearing Puerto Rican stuff. Like I don't understand. Like
I've always felt like that.
Yeah,
like,
it's so weird.
When there's a nationality on the sneaker, I don't care how good the sneaker is. I feel off if that's. I'm like that's not.
No, that's a good. Brazil though, people be doing that a lot because Brazil is like a brand in itself, like the shirts and everything like that. I always feel weird about that too. To be honest,
I know. Somebody I know, he's like he copped there's a Okertro Adidas Bape that dropped recently, and it's Brazil colors.
Yeah,
and they're calling them Brazil, and I'm like, like I feel like if you're Brazilian,
right,
you good to go,
right.
But like, it's just weird because I feel like. I don't know. It's just weird. Like I can't even really explain it because
there's something off about it.
Yeah,
it's real. Because imagine you in those.
Yeah,
like on me in those. It's just randomly walking around. Clearly not. I'm not Puerto Rican at all. Yeah. But I got these on.
It's like the De Lo Mio Air Forces came out. And they say De Lo Mio on the bottom. Yeah. They got the DR flag on the tongue.
Yeah.
And I remember being like. everybody confuses me. I'm Dominican.
You thought about it for a second?
Maybe.
You thought about it? You kind of fire?
People be like, I've been called tigre a couple times, you know? Like,
I've called Papi a few times.
Yeah, I do love
every black dude.
I do love a sancocho. I do love a sancocho.
Okay. Yo, that's everything. Do you know my favorite thing is to go to Dominican restaurants and order mango?
Yeah.
Because I can say it with
it's
fire.
And then they look and I'm like, I can't tell you nothing else. That's all I got.
The funniest is because I do know Spanish.
Yeah.
But like Dominican Spanish is like, you gotta like sing it to people. Like it's not a simple.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, it's like que lo que maní. You
Yeah,
know, like it's just like
different. Especially if New York is different from like the island too, so there's like a whole different slang terminology for
Puerto
sure.
Ricans though, Puerto Ricans.
Oh, we got same type of thing.
You gotta like say it in a specific way, or else they look at you and be like,
yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel
you can
like
speak English. They hit me with the you can speak English. It's fine.
That's the ultimate disrespect. Yo, come on. You good, fam? We speak English here. You ain't gotta do all that.
When they tell you can speak English, that means you are fucking this up.
I mean, yo, that ass though. There be times I start off Spanish and then I just give up halfway, bro.
You can tell it's not hitting. You know what I'm saying? Like, yep.
I be like, dame un poco de, sancocho con chicha. Just let me get the penny.
Not because they get you when they ask a follow-up question. You know what I'm saying? Because you rehearse usually like, all right, let me do this.
With the follow-up. Like, all right, that's all
God forbid they ask what you want on the side or like what size. Like, I did not rehearse this part of the situation. You know, that's what they get you.
The default is like, no.
That just happened to me at the airport in Miami. You know how they got the Cuban food restaurant in Miami, right?
Yeah.
I love Cuban food.
Oh, yeah, fire.
But my go-to is ropa vieja, and that's all I got.
Yeah.
Perfectly. I said that, right?
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm just like, she started asking extra questions. I'm like, and because I came out the gate with rolling the R, now I done set myself up, and she thinks I speak Spanish.
Yeah.
You know who saved me? Jaffe, my Dominican guitarist.
There you go.
He always jump in and get the and I just sit there like, what he said.
When I'm with people and like they're the Puerto Ricans that don't know Spanish.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you know many of them.
Oh, a lot of them. Yeah,
right.
For sure.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you. It's funny that Bad Bunny is like, I don't want to know. Well, now he's like, now I do want to know English. But in the beginning, he was like, I don't really want to know English. I'm speak Spanish. I'm from Puerto Rico. And then there's so many Puerto Ricans that are here that don't know Spanish. It's so like, and then they're like, I love Bad Bunny. I don't know what he's saying. I'm like, no, he's from where you from.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a weird in between area, right? Like my Spanish isn't great, but I understand it fluently.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like for me growing up. Like my parents are both native speakers. My dad's first language. But they didn't speak to me growing up. So like I only knew it through my grandma, just like communicating with her. But yeah, it's definitely like, you feel lesser than. That's even worse. Now, if you're Puerto Rican, to tell you can just talk in English. Like that's when you're really like, damn, all right, I gotta get back to the gym. You know what I'm saying? I get back to start learning this language. Let me dust off the old Spanish 101 book again. Like I just fucked up.
Let me fire up the Duolingo.
Yeah. My ancestors are rolling in a damn grave right now, bro. Yeah, that's even worse. But yeah, there are a lot that don't speak it. And yeah, I mean that's the interesting thing. I think that's what's fire about his music though. Like as well as like the universality of it. Like even if you don't understand a word, you get the emotion behind it, or you just understand like that it's just fire music at that point. But yeah, but I do respect that he like has refused to make any music in English. Like he stayed true to that. And because that was like the thing with a lot of artists as well, was like, you had to make your songs in English in order to cross over back in the day. And he's sort of broken that mold, and that's super dope. And shout out to him for learning English as well. That puts any of us to shame that don't speak Spanish. Like, homie learned it in like a year, bro. Like, and he's on national television on Jimmy Fallon doing it.
He's just having full conversation.
Yeah, we got no
hot
excuse.
ones. Just being like,
I know.
It's spicy. Yeah. Like, all right.
Yeah, bro. I got no excuses if we ain't coming out here speaking proper Spanish at this point.
So we talk about Bad Bunny and popular music.
Yeah.
And you're working in the place that plays the top 100.
Yeah.
Right now. What is that like, and how'd you get there?
It is,
and I don't know if you are into like, do you listen to pop music?
I listen to everything, bro. Katy Perry Firework is my like, I don't apologize for that. That's one of my favorite songs of all time. But it goes back and forth. It's frustrating and amazing at the same time, because it is like iHeartRadio is like the largest audio company in the world, and it's their flagship radio station. So it's like, it's like playing for the Yankees basically, right?
Yeah.
In that league. So with that, there's a lot that comes along with being associated with that brand, which is amazing. It's frustrating because I remember when I first started there, I came in with like, I'm a DJ who plays all types of clubs, and is like always first on music. I'm gonna come in here and start showing some people and put them onto some stuff. And then you realize real quick, people want to hear the same shit over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't give a fuck about what is next, what is new, what is cool. Majority of people want the same thing over and over and over again. And that's what has made them so successful. They're feeding people the same thing over and over and over again. And not to say that I don't like that I hate the music or anything like that. There are some records I think are trash, but I do enjoy, the majority of it, or appreciate it for what it is. But that is the frustrating part, because I am still like someone who just loves music. I'm a student of the game. I'm always interested in what is kind of the next thing.
Yeah.
And that is, where you kind of have to hold back a little bit, understand like, okay, this platform is not going to be my way to express myself in that manner, right?
Yeah.
This is me tapping into like this large market and getting to have cool opportunities and just play hit records, right? And that's fun. That's cool. That has its thing. But I think you have to compartmentalize it in your head, right? And that's what I struggled with initially, was like, I wanted it to be my everything.
Yeah.
And I was, like, oh, we're going to talk about everything in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was like, no. The brand comes before you.
Yeah.
So like, you have to understand like, where the line is.
Yeah.
And that was the frustrating part, but it's amazing. It's opened so many different doors. And
I
things.
just pictured you first starting and you had that meme where the guy's like taking his headphones off and that disgusted, just like, and here's I don't know,
like Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah, and here's Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
Just throwing it off.
Yeah, there were certain things where I'm like, damn, what the fuck is going on right now? But like, I would have fun with it though too, where I would like call it out, where I'm just like it was like a weird phase where it was like every teen girl was making sad music, so like I would just make fun of it, like what do y'all know about heartbreak? Like, and I would just like make a little pun about it, and like that became my little like my way to kind of like get back at, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll show you guys, but
here's a slight jab.
Yeah, exactly. In my mind, that's like, I'm out here fucking fighting for the cause, but so I would do little things like that. But like, what was also cool was like Bad Bunny has only had one song that's made it to like really radio has given a chance top 40 wise.
Yeah.
And we were only playing it at night. But because I was doing the mix show, I had a little bit more flexibility where I could take some of those newer records and put it in. So like, I took pride in the fact that now it's getting heard prime time on a Friday at 5 p.m. while people are driving home. You're hearing this Bad Bunny record. Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Though, that really with all his success.
Yeah.
That's the craziness about it.
Like I said, this business, man.
Yeah, bro. But it's just like, that's the wild thing. I mean, that's why he's like this anomaly, and why it's so special is because it's like he didn't follow any of the traditional rules. And somehow, some way he's there. But like, for me, I guess those are little moments where I'm like, yo, this is cool, I get to do that. Or like, I have a coworker who was there for a while, Maxwell. And
Maxwell.
Yeah, you know Maxwell?
No.
Oh, he's fine, but he's a black man. Was only black person on the entire radio station at one point, right? And I was having a conversation with him, and he was like, to me, what's fire about this is, yeah, I'm like the only one, but also if there is some young black kid, black girl, black boy who happens to love pop music like I did, like I make it okay for them to feel seen in that space, right? It's not weird. You're not a loser. You're not, an outsider because the societal norm dictates you have to listen to hip hop or whatever it is, right? And I was like, that's kind of like a dope way to look at it, is like, in a
silver lining.
Exactly. In a small way, like you are being that for somebody, and sometimes all people need is to see themselves in one person to like kind of change everything for them.
Same thing when I get the thing about being in a black punk band.
Oh, absolutely.
We get that all the time when we're in these spaces who are traditionally all white. Yep. And people jump out and they're just like, yo, so many black fans would be like, I'm the only one or two person there. They'll be like, seeing y'all changed everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I also remember the acts that did that for me.
Yep.
Yeah. That's like,
that's like me being, racially ambiguous or having a podcast. I'm doing it for all you racially ambiguous people.
Y'all are welcome. All right?
And, but, towards the end of the podcast, and got one last question.
Yeah.
And that is deals with a little visualization and I want you to think back about when you were getting the up tempos.
Yeah.
Now you're you behind you.
Yeah.
Your younger self. What would you tell your younger self as he opens that box?
Oh man. That's a great question. What would I tell that kid? I would say you're looking fly, but you don't need this in order to be fly. Like you don't need to have the cool sneaker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what makes you cool, what's going to bring you all the success and everything you want is actually going against the grain and not worrying about what the trends are, but being unafraid to set your own trend and to pave your own lane. And people are going to follow you because of that, not because you're tapping into what everybody else is doing. Yeah, I think that kid definitely need to hear that. I mean, as fly as those sneakers were, but yeah, that kid definitely needs to hear that.
Man, shout out to Haas and Dave from the My First Kicks podcast. Definitely go check that show out. They have a lot of really interesting guests. And again, I think in today's day and age, man, we just need some lighter conversation every once in a while. So I really enjoyed being on this podcast. I'll kind of sum everything we talked about today in a neat little bow in a segment called Conclusion Stew.
Time for conclusion stew.
All right, so obviously not much to summarize here. This was just a fun conversation. I do love kind of the thing that came to me when they asked what I would tell my younger self, like the kid who was wearing those sneakers. And I'm proud of that response of like the idea that like the clothes don't make the man, but the man make the clothes, if you will. But more so, I think for me, I find great pleasure in the fact that I think I've turned a corner in finding comfort within my own skin and being okay with sort of being judged. And I guess I talk about, and I love these examples of fashion, and I'll kind of close it out with that. I talked about this a lot before, but to me, one of the greatest tools to sort of being more comfortable in my own skin was just being unafraid to dress differently. And it was like exposure therapy. And the more I did it, the more that, you know, people gave me weird looks or made comments about it, the less I cared about others' opinions. And it still pops up. This happened to me. I was DJing in an area that I don't really hang out a lot in. It's very white. Very white, like frat bro type of area. But I was DJing there last weekend. And like a part of me was like, oh man, I'm like second guessing my outfit or whatever. Cause I'm like, I don't want to, you know, be too loud in this environment. I don't like this environment in general. But then I had to check myself like, fuck that. This is who you are. We worked really hard to get that confidence going, and you're not going to dim your light for the opinion of people who really do not matter whatsoever. So again, I still struggle with it, but wardrobe and like dressing to what I think is cool has really been something that has benefited my self-confidence. And I think it's a great practice to try if maybe you, like me, struggled with some of that confidence or struggle with confidence issues in your life. So that's that. So My First Kicks podcast, get a shout out to Dave and Haas for the invite to be on there. Go check it out. Go subscribe to it. And yeah, we're back on Thursday with our Thursday Trends episode. Till then, stay safe and we'll talk soon. Peace.